Hey everyone, welcome back. So, guys, as part of this session, we are going to see a brief overview on a function. So, what exactly a function is? A function is a code block which performs a certain actions, and of course, the function may return a value or may not return a value. That's up to you how exactly you are going to create a function. The ultimate objective of this particular one is a mode reusability. Okay, so consider that you have a two developers. Okay, the first developer needs to create a user and second developer needs to do an edit user. For create user and edit user, the quite common actions are login and a logout. The both users right needs to perform a login and a logout. Instead of writing login and a logout, both the developers, one can write down a function and others can reuse that particular function. That's what the beauty with respect to this function is. And of course, there are two different types of a functions. We have a one is a function with a name and another is a function without a name we can create using a TypeScript. So here is a syntax for the function with a name. As said, for every function, the return statement is optional. Okay, the return statement is an optional. Okay, perfectly all right. So I just created a function. So here, ideally, the function will start with a keyword as a function, followed by the name that we are defining. Function sum. Okay, I'm defining it as a sum. That's it. So console.log 2 plus 3. I'm just using it as a sum. Okay, Surendra, we have created a sum function. How are we gonna call that function? The simple thing is with just a sum, automatically that function will be called. Let me try to run this content and check it out whether the sum of these two numbers is being printed or not. Save and run. Okay, save and run. See here, the sum of these two numbers are got a printed as a 5. See here, if you observe, for a function, we can add a return statement, which is an optional chunk. In this situation, I haven't added the return statements. Let me copy this piece and let me put it here and void. Void itself means this function is not gonna return anything. I don't want to return anything. So that itself is a void. So save it. Let me run this particular program and check it out. The same 5 got a printed. So there is a no much a difference between passing without an argument and as well as a with a return statement. Okay, perfect. So instead of a void, let me create a sum again. And here, this time, I'm returning a number. Whenever you have a return statement here, okay, return 2 plus 3. So here, what are we doing? This sum method is performing the addition operation on the two different numbers and returning that particular sum. Okay, and it is returning that particular sum. Wherever you are calling, you can store it in a variable or directly we can use console.log and sum we can directly call it. Now, let me run this particular piece of code and if you see that the 5 got a printed down to the console. Perfectly all right. So the point here is the sum here, if you see, 2 and 3 are the hard-coded numbers that we are defining here to perform a sum operation. Ideally, in the real world, right, whenever you are performing a sum operation, the numbers is a dynamic, right? It's not like always a 2 and 3 we can perform the sum operations. So the point out over here is how exactly we can create a function that accepts parameters, which we can also call it as an arguments, parameters or an arguments. So a function, in order to create it in a much more reusable in nature, you need to pass parameters to a particular function. Okay, so the simple thing here is function name parameter 1 comma parameter 2 so on, the return statement, function body, and you need to define that particular logic, guys. That's it, as simple as it is. So let us create a sum function right now. Function sum. This time, I want to perform the sum operation here. A, this is of a number, comma, B, this is another variable. This is of a number. And here I want to perform the return value is a number. Okay, the return value is a number. I want to return A and B. I want to return A and B. So here what we have done, this sum method is accepting two number arguments and it is returning that particular number. Wherever you are calling, you can simply call that particular method with the parameters. So here first time I am calling with a 10 and a 30, and second time I am calling with this different values. As many times as I want, I can pass a different sets of values so that the function will be executed dynamically. So that the function will be executed dynamically. See, if you see that the outcome, the dynamic values are being printing down over here. So this is the way how exactly we can create a function in dynamic in nature just by accepting the parameters. Perfect. Let me copy this particular function and put it here. While writing down the function, okay, my copilot is prompting me certain options, which is assigning a value, See here, A number is equal to 12, B number is equal to 12, and here the console.log, I'm not passing anything here. Okay, I'm not passing any arguments here. Let me call this particular function and check it out. It is returning 24. What is this, Surendra? You have a parameters here. Still, while calling, you are not passing it. What is the meaning here? So this syntax here is function with default values basically. Okay, for A, the default value is 12, and for B, the default value is 12. Even though if at all you are not passing those values, by default, while creating a function, I'm assigning some values. That's the reason, though you are not passing the parameters, right? It's gonna accept that particular chunk. So this is the way how exactly we can create a function with the arguments. Okay, perfectly all right. So this is a function that accepting numbers. All right. So let me create a function basically greeting message. Okay, greeting message. And the name is a string. This is accepting a string. And of course, I don't want to return anything. So here console.log, hello, welcome to Lebby.com. So I'm just giving something like that. And here, greeting message John. So when I run this particular program, see the output. Hello, welcome to Lebby.com, John. Okay, that's what that's being printing it up. Not only the numbers, we can pass any kind of a data as part of this particular function, and we can simply return it wherever you want. You can simply return it. Okay, where exactly you want, you can simply return it. Okay, that's fine. So let me comment these lines of a code, and let me look at the another return function that we have. Copy this function and copy this function, come down, put it here. So what I have done is return A comma B console.log after return statement. So I have added a logic after the return statement, and I'm calling my sum with a 10 and a 20. So here console.log sum. That's it. Let us see how it's gonna work out. When I call this particular function, it is saying that sum is 40, but after return, it's not executing. The meaning out over here is right after the return statement got encountered to a particular function, your TypeScript will not execute the further logic, whatever you have created. That's again the key thing that you need to consider. Okay, that's again the key thing that you need to consider. Okay, perfectly all right. So guys, if you look at the function, this is a basic function, and for that you have added a return void. Void itself means it's not returning anything. If you put it a colon after that a number, which means this function is returning a number, followed by any data type stating that that function is returning that particular data type. So we have a seen a sum operation by passing a two different arguments, and also we have a seen adding a statement, okay, adding a log after the return statement, it won't execute. Perfectly all right. So if you look at this particular documentation, we have a seen a function with a name, and we need to see how exactly we can create a functions without a name, that we will be looking at as part of our next session. Thank you.